Student card from Joe. Why is there a lowercase a? Well, it would help if I would plug the controller in. Meanwhile, early alphabetic writing systems developed with a variety of technologies. One of the earliest technologies was a reed pen with ink on papyrus. Papyrus was then replaced by parchment, tan skin, because papyrus doesn't survive long in damp environments, and papyrus was a limited source commodity. The sound of the letter aleph is a glottal stop, similar to the Cockney pronunciation of the middle vowel in bottle. All of the letters were consonants. This worked well for at least two reasons: the different role of vowels in the Semitic languages, and writing was arguably more mnemonic than canonical in the earliest scripts. We can approximate this effect even in English. The above would be intelligible to someone fluent in English, less so to someone just learning English. Later custom began using consonants as hints to the placement of certain vowel sounds, but these were still not full-fledged vowel glyphs. They were just reuse of the consonants. The Greeks took the writing system from the early Phoenicians. The glyphs for the sounds that Greeks didn't use were repurposed for vowel sounds, which were very much more important in Greek. As illustrated here, some early Greek monumental carving or writing used an alternating direction technique known as bostrophodon. And if you look closely, you can see some of the letters like the epsilon facing this direction and then here facing the other direction. The writing technology was chisel on stone with a single weight of line. The Romans also went for monumental lettering, such as this sample from Trajan's column, the canonical example of classic Roman monumental capitals. Notice that there's a difference in the weight. Some of the strokes are thicker or thinner than others. Based on the work of Edward Cattich, a sign painter turned Catholic priest turned paleographer, the letters were painted on the stone with flat brush and then chiseled out. The serifs provided both smooth termination of the brush stroke and clean finish of the chiseled stroke. And we normally think of the Roman capital as classic Roman lettering, but the Romans also developed other styles of writing, such as a stylus on a wax-covered surface for commercial writing, where you had to write something quickly. Entering the Dark Ages, there's another technology, the quill, a flat-cut edge, where the thickness of the stroke depends on the angle at which the quill moves relative to the cut-off end. We normally associate these lettering styles with the Irish. According to Thomas Cahill's book, How the Irish Saved Civilization, after the fall of the Roman Empire and Europe's descent into chaos, it was Irish scholars and missionaries who reintroduced classic and religious literature to the continent. Many different purposes and local cultures and local interests drove the development of all kinds of different letter forms, some for formality, some for style, and so on. Big Chuck, known by some of these other names up here, who ruled the Frankish Empire from 768 to 814, commissioned the design of a single hand by Alcian of York, one of those Irish guys, which was the standard across his empire. He wanted a simple system of writing that everyone could learn and use easily. And note the use of the large formal Roman capitals to start the lines. These are called versals. They began verses in poetry, scripture, and so on. And they assisted in navigating in a large body of text. And later on, when other writing technologies developed, that custom of using large letters to start important words continued. This is the pointed pen, where the pressure on the tip of the pen controls the width of the line rather than the direction. This very elaborate writing style typically reflects a culture with a lot of leisure time. Now, with the advent of metal type, the letter forms were freed from the constraint of the pen and the quill and so on, because the letters were actually carved in steel to make a master copy, which allowed the design of forms and shapes that wouldn't have come from those manual writing instruments. There are all kinds of different styles that were developed, some of which drew on the calligraphic history to make letters that were reminiscent of hand lettering. By the way, uppercase, well, the type slugs were set in partitioned compartments. The large letters up here, the small letters up here, so these were the uppercase letters. This is also the origin of the phrases out of sorts and mind your P's and Q's. So, why is this relevant? Letter forms were influenced by the available technology and need. The sweet spot keeps moving. And sometimes we look back to see how to do things they did before.